In this episode, I fix broken bikes, we ride through beautiful plantations, we're stopped by the police again, and we rescue a chicken. We rejoin the story having just left Liberia and arriving at this small border. Whilst the sentiment was great to see, I did chuckle at the misspelling on the border sign. We rode away from the border through the empty stalls, clearly showing it wasn't a market day, and onto the small dirt roads that would take us towards a larger town, about 18 miles from the border, with our destination, the town of Man, being about 65 miles away. We were now getting comfortable with crossing borders, and despite that once again we were in a francophone country and initially speaking English to the customs and immigration agents, we managed to get all the necessary stamps, in the right documents no less, and we didn't have to get any vaccinations, which the medic on site seemed to be disappointed by. Lots of the trails were fun and flowing, and that, coupled with an excitement to explore a new country, had us grinning in our helmets. We felt like we were in the middle of nowhere. We finally made it onto tarred roads and enjoyed passing by the cows in the road as we went from village to village on the way to Man. You get a real sense of a country quite quickly and you begin to trust your gut, and our gut was saying Ivory Coast was a friendly place. People waved and looked inquisitively as we shared a moment in time with them. First off was a quick stop to sort out a SIM card, and then around the corner to find somewhere to sleep. What's happening, babe?
We are at a place in Ivory Coast. I'm not sure if it's a school or it's a place we might be staying. It looks like gardens.
Should we go see the room?
Yeah.
You gonna come with?
You can go. I'm being lazy.
Okay. Garden through the gardens. Welcome to our crib. That's our washing line. I'm making dinner. Not this is outside. Obviously, we wouldn't cook indoors because that would be bad. So we wouldn't do that. We can't hear that. It's a bit quiet. Just gonna have a little wander into town. We stayed here last night, which is kind of like, I don't know, it's some religious compound. Apparently there's nuns and a father that live here somewhere. But we were going to stay just one night. Decided on two. Gives me a chance to get the laptop open, try and edit some stuff ready for you to watch. But look at this view. Would you look at that? Would you just look at that? With a day to rest, we wandered into the town we were on the outskirts of, first to find a boulangerie. Found a nice bakery. The size of this. Very good. Not quite French, but very good. With the temperature climbing and the walk further than we expected, we took a small risk and hopped in a local taxi to get back to our accommodation. The rooms here, including aircon, were around £13 for the night. The only downside being that metal roof that echoed like crazy with the heavy rains we experienced. You may also remember this scene from an older video. It's where we filmed the sequence to tell you about the theft of Sierra Leone affecting the footage from France and Spain. The next morning, it was time to get the tools out. The rear brake is seized, so I'm trying to strip it. Oh, it's this that's seized, I think. So when you press the brake, and when you push down the brake, that gets pulled inwards, which pushes the brake shoes out into the drum. But then what happens is this is meant to return, and it doesn't, so the brake stays on. Just muddle my way through the conversation with that chap. He doesn't really speak much English, but he does speak Italian and Spanish, which I also don't speak. Well, not very well anyway. He's like, speak Italian? I'm like, buongiorno, he laughed. That was it. But hopefully, this badger will fix things now. It's about there. Yeah, can do it by hand. So, I think that was our problem. My only worry now is, when am I going to come across this problem?
What are you doing?
Unscrewing the tyre.
I'm not sure that's meant to be there.
Will it go hiss?
Oh,
No way.
did that not?
It's perfect. Great success. And it was a success. I'm not sponsored by them, yet big shout out to Occo Tyre Sealants for preventing this, and I'm sure many other punctures. My electric start was still intermittent, meaning I was bump starting my bike most days, just like here. We decided to head south, away from man and towards the coast. We were seeing truly African things, like goats on the roofs of moving vans. The scenery in Ivory Coast was beautiful. Dense and vibrant bush lined the road and allowed our minds to wander about what might lurk beyond the road. One thing that is lurking? Cocoa plantations. We took a short detour through one, and did you know? Ivory Coast is the world's largest cocoa producer. They produce around 45% of the world's cocoa. Chances are, if you've eaten something chocolate-based, you've experienced a tiny piece of Ivory Coast. Finally made it to another hotel, though this time we'd be camping in their grounds. Welcome to another day in paradise. Matey somewhere over here, 5 to 7 in the morning. Just get the lawnmower out, mate. Just get the lawnmower out. You were happy, weren't you?
So happy.
Let's get going then. And get going we did, leaving the town of Isia to continue south. We were hoping to make it to a place called San Pedro, a small town on the coast that we'd heard really good things about. We stopped multiple times on the way there, sometimes by the police, check our documents, sometimes to top up on pastries, or sometimes just to explore the plantations. These here are rubber trees. That one's not got any, but that's the raw rubber. Never seen raw rubber before. Bonne journée, monsieur. After bidding that kind gentleman a good day, we left our last stop, determined to make it to our destination. The sand at the entrance proved tricky, but we made it to the so-named Village of Peace and was greeted by the big boss, who made sure to give plenty of love and attention. You might wonder what the Irish flag is doing here, just like I did, until I realised they're almost identical, apart from a slightly different shade of orange. The next morning, after a less than perfect sleep, we chose to head further along the coast, this time to a place called Sassandra. It wasn't uncommon to see smoke billowing in the distance, But even this was a bit beyond a normal sight, drifting right across the road and filling our lungs as we had no way to avoid it. The route into the coastal beach camp was fairly pretty, though it forced us to go slow and sometimes hold up traffic. Noticing that we were holding people up, I pulled over.
Pardon, ça va?
Vous arrivez d'où?
Je ne comprends pas.
Where are you from?
From England.
England.
England, Angleterre, oui.
England.
C'est here,
Africa.
yeah, oui. France, Spain. Oui, France, Spain, Maroc, Mauritanie, Senegal, Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Côte d'Ivoire.
Congratulations.
Monsieur.
What about Ivory Coast? What's your opinion?
Beautiful. Everywhere like this is beautiful.
Did you see the sea here?
The people are very good.
The final few meters became even trickier. However, it was so worth the effort. An unspoiled, unshared strip of grass with shade next to the beach.
Just show the gorgeous view. What are you doing?
It's cutting a tomato. What are you doing?
What are you making?
So we haven't had proper brie sandwich since France. Ooh. I think this might be the best lunch spot we've ever had. How is it? Good? Oh my god, I can barely hold it with one hand.
So nice. We've had 2 days of good food now.
Yeah, we have.
So needed.
Would you choose to camp here for £6.50? Even with the millipedes and strong crashing waves, it seemed like a great deal to us. It felt like a shame to pack up, but we
are now heading to Abidjan, the capital of Ivory Coast, and here is the coast of Ivory Coast.
After bumping the bike once again and tackling the rough route out, we were on the way. It's worth mentioning that Lauren didn't have much experience off-road before this trip. Less than 3 hours off-road and just 8 months total since she passed her motorcycle licence before we headed off. I think you'll agree this is pretty impressive, and it's well worth clicking subscribe for if you haven't already. By now, we'd clocked up over 8,500 miles since leaving home in around about 3 months. We were loving everything about this country, from the plantations to the people. Though it's safe to say, Lauren's bum wasn't enjoying the longer rides, which is why she got creative in finding new ways to sit on the bike and relieve that pressure. As we got closer to the city, the traffic became more hectic, as you can imagine, and we had to have our wits about us. Which is when we saw that this city had fast food restaurants that we recognised. It had been a long stretch since Morocco that it hadn't been that case.
Hey, that's a Burger King.
I'm so excited for cheese bites.
And Lauren was feeling very snackish, so what happened, darling?
I ordered 27 chili cheese bites.
Was that a good use of money?
But that's so worth it.
Well, let's have one then.
We were partly in Abidjan, not just for the good food, but also to collect a delivery, which meant cutting across town and the big bridges.
Why are we at the post office, darling?
Come to collect our new helmets.
So these have had a couple of issues with them, and I kind of feel in two ways about it. Schuberth have kind of been really good in that our brand new helmets are literally sat the other side of that wall waiting for us. But it's also taken 2.5 months to get to this point.
Yeah.
I messaged them admittedly on the 1st of January, but it's taken this long of them saying they weren't going to send it and that we should just basically suck it up, even though they said the issues with these helmets were, and I'm quoting here, critical failures that could only be solved in the German factory. So, or critical safety failures, I think they were. So anyway, this is where we're at, but now we have to pay the import duties of 650 euros equivalent to get those helmets.
Having paid and collected our goodies, it was time to head back to the Airbnb to unbox them.
Back to the channel, guys. You're here for my unboxing. Hashtag influencer.
I'm so disappointed in you. You got my colour wrong. Now we're literally matching.
We're literally full on matching.
Full on matching, and that's so cringy.
They got the size right at least.
I don't want a white helmet.
I wouldn't want anyone to call Lauren ungrateful. The colour being wrong was just another issue in the long list of dramas that we had with trying to get replacement helmets from Schuberth. The whole issue took over 5 months from start to finish. We did enjoy giving our old but undamaged helmets to the riders of Ivory Coast Biker Club and chatting away the evening with them, though that did mean riding back across the city in the dark, which is never recommended. Thankfully, we made it back safely. The next day, we left the apartment and at the last moment decided to head north to Yammasoukro instead of east to Ghana. We were getting well into the spirit of travelling on African roads, so when the road was blocked with traffic, we made our own road, riding on the path next to the roadside. Some of the roads were still being built on the way north, but some hard-packed dirt is no trouble. The weather was good and we were happy. It felt peculiar to be back on the left-hand side of the road, albeit briefly, when diverted off the highway due to a lorry fire. Ivory Coast really felt modern in the fact that they actually had a fire truck to deal with such incidents. The closer we got, the darker the skies became. Despite the roads being wet when we arrived, thankfully, we avoided the downpour.
Seeing some proper African wildlife. No, not the people.
Oh my god.
Oh, we were going to go to Ghana today, and then we didn't.
I'm so glad we didn't though.
Yeah, I'm really glad we didn't. So yeah, we ended up coming to a place called Yammasoukro. I don't know how to say it. It's here on screen, that's how you say it. There's my beer, look. And I ordered chicken and chips thinking, yeah, it'd just be a simple meal. This is my hand for scale. What?
Do you want to go see a Basilica?
Oh what?
We packed up and headed to the Basilica. Its full name is the Basilica of Our Lady of Peace and is actually, cue Jeremy Clarkson voice, the largest church in the world.
Read online, it can hold 18,000 worshippers. 18,000. Finished building in 1990. They started building it in 1986, I think.
It's hard to get a sense of scale, but I'll try and tell you about it. The dome has a 90-metre diameter, and in total is 158 metres high. Some estimates say that it cost $175 million to build, whereas others believe it to be closer to 600 million. The stained glass is made up of 18,500 panels, and they reach 28 metres high, and in total, it's over 8,400 square metres. We elected to head back south to Abidjan before going to Ghana the following day. We didn't have plans of where we would end up and just chose to ride, though the weather took a turn for the worse pretty quickly, and we weren't as lucky as on other days, getting soaked through. We even ended up sharing our shelter spot with locals.
Wet.
They're wet. Say hello. Bonjour.
It was then we noticed something move on the floor. Lauren struggled to free this chicken that had its legs tied together and left there. We couldn't just leave it tied in place, so we cut the plastic, and after a minute or two, it seemed quite happy to wander around pecking at the ants under the bamboo trees. The rain eased and the sun shone once more, though with all of our waiting around, we didn't make it to any accommodation in the city before night fell once again. Abidjan is home to about 4.7 million people, around half the population of London, which means that even after the sun goes down, there are still plenty of people to contend with.
We are very soggy. It's about 8:30, 20 to 9. We're back in the apartment we were in a few days ago in Abidjan because the first Airbnb guy didn't respond. The lightning, the storm, it's been mega. It's proper threatening rainy season now. We've got some real rain on the go, real thunder, and some real tired bodies even, that need a shower and a good sleep.
More bump starting to get on the way. This would be a problem that would persist.
Merci pour votre aide. Au revoir, bonne journée. Bonne journée.
We bid the fellows goodbye and thought we'd have an easy ride to the border with the sun shining, though that wasn't to be the case. The roads were smooth, but we had problems.
Problems. We're 20 minutes from the border and I felt something weird on the bike. It felt like the same feeling you get on a bigger bike when you open the throttle and it wheel spins. Felt like that, and as we pulled over I thought maybe my chain's too slack and maybe it's allowed it to jump a tooth on the sprocket. And then I don't quite know how this has happened, but that little washer and circlip has jumped out from the rear sprocket. So look, right now,
You can just pull.
for a while, but you can see, well, I don't know if you can get the camera close, you can see like there's a lip there, look, that the pick's getting stuck under. That should run to about there, and then this groove is where that circlip's meant to run, so that when you have that on, then the circlip, like that, it would have a slight bit of material up here that it would stop it from coming out. But because it doesn't, I think the only thing I'm going to be able to do is run cable ties along here.
Come back next time to see how we got things fixed, how much we enjoyed the dirt roads in Ghana, and how quickly we found more problems.
Whoa! Get your hands off her!
Wait.
No, wait!
Where's the problem?
The problem is, you haven't been through this.